Hi, this is Roy Worley. Welcome to the interview show that brings on guests from all walks of life. Yeah, it's here that they tell their stories and delve a little deeper into their lives to see what got them where they are. So grab a drink, have a seat, and relax, because this is the Leo Effect.
When was the last time a short movie shook your emotions to the core? When was the last time a short movie caused you to rethink everything you stood for? When was the last time a short movie made you proud to be an American? When was the last time you felt the emotion to stand up and cheer after a short movie? The new short movie, I've Got Your Six, written and directed by Bill Foster, one of the industry's newest and fastest climbing directors, will answer all of those questions. Rarely has there been so much packed into a short movie that when you leave, you'll feel more proud of our American military veterans. A movie that was cast only with American military veterans will have you on the edge of your seat, cheering for our veterans and what makes America great. I've Got Your Six will be hitting the film festival scene soon. Be prepared to drop what you're doing and go see this powerful movie when it comes to your area. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of The Leo Effect. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest. We had some technical issues getting here, but we're finally here. We're finally able to record. And I'm super excited about it because brand new stuff that just came out, and I think everybody has kind of caught on to the phenomenon, but we'll get there to talk about that in just a minute. So please welcome to the show, Fall Cosplay. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
Well, I had to get up a little bit earlier for it, but it's fine.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I mean, being that you're from down under, it's
yeah, Australia. Australia, Sydney.
Exactly. And I'm all the way in the States, so we've got a bit of a time difference. I'm actually you'd be calling into the past, I guess.
Yeah, I'm 8 a.m. and the 20th of the 2nd.
Correct.
And
I am
you're in the 19th?
p.m. on the 19th.
Wow. Time travel.
Time travel. And we didn't even have to go 88 miles per hour.
I know. Crazy.
All right. Well, we'll jump right into this and we'll see what kind of crazy stories and antics you might have, which I have a feeling there's going to be a few. The first thing that I kind of want to touch on is what actually kind of really caught my attention is that you're like a professional cosplayer, right?
I honestly even hesitate. I guess because for me, like being a cosplayer is just a hobby, so it's so much more of just I don't know, like tacking like professional onto it just makes I don't know, it just sounds so much more official than I think it really deserves to be.
All right, that's fair.
I don't know. I'm a hobbyist. I'm a hobbyist, if anything.
All right. So you're a hobby cosplayer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely no Yaya Han or Jessica Nigiri. I'm definitely more of a just a casual cosplayer. I mean, before this happened, I had a very small and intimate following, but now this is blown up.
Yeah. Well, I've seen the pictures of the stuff you've done, and that's why I use the term professional because, I mean, your level of quality is just amazing. Your attention to detail is just great.
Thank you. Like, genuinely, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think as cosplayers, we do tend to try and do our best. For some people, it's dedicating more of their time to their wig styling, and some people it's more time to their sewing, and for other people it's armor. I'm not really good at wigs, so I do tend to stick in the more sewing department. So I try to do my best growing in that niche of my capabilities.
And so you say this is a hobby for you. Like, what drew you to start doing it?
Actually, it was really funny because I was really obsessed. So, like, I can actually pinpoint the whole story of me getting into cosplay. So, like, as a teen, 13 years old, I think it was, I got into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2003 version.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that show. And then I met a person through my dad who is an illustrator and designer, who was like, hey, well, if you like cartoons, have you heard of anime? And it had always been that really whitewashed, Saturday TV, like morning TV anime that was like not really interesting. But he introduced me to like the mysterious, the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya and Death Note and Full Metal Alchemist. And honestly, like, and then I was like, oh, that's amazing. And he's like, well, if you like that, come to a convention. So I went to a convention, everyone was dressed up, and I was like, oh, okay, this is so much better than I thought it could be. And so I was just like, okay, but next time I come here, I have to be dressed up too. Because I've always been a bit of an actor my whole life. My mom took me to acting lessons since I was about 7 years old. And so the idea that I got to act in a room full of other people who are also accepting of the acting, like no one's trying to be like, but you're not really that person. Like they're more like, oh, you're gonna play in character, then I'm gonna play in character, and we can have this interaction in character, and it'll be fun. And I just love that whole community sense of it.
That's awesome. So do you go to a lot of conventions or just like a handful here and there?
Well, I tend to go to most East Coast conventions in Australia. So that'd be like the Sydney conventions mainly, because that's where I'm based.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would travel up to the Gold Coast and Brisbane, and then I'd travel down. I'm actually going to Melbourne Nova in a couple of weeks as well, which will be my first Melbourne Nova, but it's not my first convention in Melbourne. So yeah,
Okay.
I'll go to a few. But it's not, they're not as many as in like the States, and they're not as big either. They're,
Okay.
yeah, it's a lot. But it is growing. It is growing though. It's incredible. Each year it's more and more people.
So when you go and you're in your costume, do people come running up wanting pictures with you all the time?
If they recognize my character, yeah. I mean, I've definitely had times where I've like dressed up as one character and I've had people assuming that I was another one.
Oh.
So that's always been fun to have to constantly like correct them, like, no, I'm actually this character. But I mean, most of the time, yeah, you'll, especially if you're in a group, groups like really draw crowds. So it's like if you're in a group with like other people from the set, like you can be standing there for like upwards of like possibly half an hour just having people take photos. Because it's like so exciting when there's like almost like a collector set of cosplayers.
Oh, okay.
But and then I mean, like lately it's been more because I've cosplayed more popular characters, so like with Critical Role and stuff. Like
Mhm.
I've been getting more photos because people have like recognized the character and been like, "Oh my god, I love it!" And it's like, and it's always nice to be able to engage with fans of the show as well, and also then you'll find other people who are doing the same character, and you're like, "Let's take a selfie together." Like we're twinning right now.
And I'm assuming that happened at least a couple of times.
Oh god, yeah, especially at meetups, especially when you organize to all congregate in the one section. Then of course you're gonna run into people who are doing the exact same costume, and you just all get to like talk over like, oh, how did you do this part? Oh, I did it this way. Oh, that's amazing. I'm gonna do that next time. And it's a lot of fun to be able to just like have that awesome community and people just like supporting each other.
Yeah.
Because we're all trying to pursue the same sort of art, I guess, in the end.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. You were talking about working on wigs and sewing and things like that. Do you make all of your own costumes and props yourself, or do you order some parts, or how does that work?
So if it's like a wig, so actually, like if anything, let me break down like Nixie, like
Okay.
To like talk about like what I did make and what I had to like grab. Most of Nixie is made by myself. I actually had never made armor before, and I made both her I'm gonna get the words wrong because I always do, but I got her bracer and her shoulder piece, which is what's it called?
Pauldron.
Oh, I always forget. I'm just like, I know it's something like I always forget it. The other people on the crew, like the other people who are on the crew, they're so easy to like talk about this sort of stuff because they've been in that sort of like community for so much longer than I have.
Gotcha.
They're just like, oh yeah, they'll just like spit out these words, and I'm like, cool, I know what these things are.
Oh yeah, those things, the shoulder thingies.
Yeah, the shoulder thingies. But yeah, I'd never made those pieces before, and so that was my first time experimenting. Also to give a kind of like a bit of like a context as well, I made Nixie in a week.
Oh wow.
And that was my own fault. because like they gave me heaps of time to make her, and I have a problem with actually getting things done within like like I'm very much like, oh, I have time later, I'll do it later. Yeah.
There's always
So
tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. There's always tomorrow. Like that's a tomorrow like me problem, right?
Yeah.
And so I made her top, pants. The boots were ones that I already owned. I made the armor pieces. The wig was just a pink normal wig. I actually have like photos of the fact that it was just like a straight bob wig, like probably more to the shoulder length. And I dyed the roots of it a more like darker pink color, and then curled it and braided it and cut it and all that sort of stuff. I mean, obviously I had to order in the ears and the scleras and all that sort of stuff, but the rest of it was essentially made by myself.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think if anything, she's probably an accumulation of the stuff that I have learned, like just in my time cosplaying.
That's great. That shows, because that character is very well done, and the fact that you did it in a week really shows how good you are at it.
It's just, I don't know, it just seems so silly that I was given like probably over a month, and I gave myself a week.
Well,
Yeah.
kids, that's what we call a segue. So I would like to talk about Nixie a little bit, and then kind of delve into where Nixie comes from. So you said, you came up with everything for that, but can you tell everybody who exactly Nixie is?
Nixie is from a web series on YouTube called One for All, and it's produced by Deerstalkers, who has the director of Elliot and Goldie, and they're an amazing duo. Like they've developed quite a name for themselves in the Australian cosplay circles for making amazing like cosplay videos. So if you're like a nerd, like that's a really good channel to follow, because they just have a whole bunch of like anime and like other nerd stuff on their channel that they make comedy skits for and stuff. And so essentially, like I had a friend who, funnily enough, was who is Andreas on the show. So he's actually a friend that I've had for a long time, and he was just like, "Hey, you like acting? There's a possibility that there's going to be this web series," and introduced me. And to be honest, I don't think I made the best first impression on them, considering that I probably was like 3 or 4 drinks in at that point. But I basically listed like all my acting credentials like off my fingers, and was just like, hey, I've done this and I've done this and I've done this, so like I really want to be on this show. And they were just like, okay, cool, so give us an audition, and we'll see how it goes. Nixie on this show is the pyromaniac sorcerer, who's kind of also the chaotic, stupid archetype in the series as well, which is something she wears proudly.
Right, yeah. So what exactly is the premise behind the show?
So it's essentially based on the game of Dungeons and Dragons. And the whole idea, as it was pitched to me, was that we would be players, and then we would be acting as our characters in response to what our players were doing. So it goes back and forth between our reality and the fantasy reality of the game, which was just such a cool concept to me. And honestly, it's something that, although I've seen a lot of people playing Dungeons and Dragons, I haven't seen that done before, like that specifically.
Right.
And so we were like super keen, because we're like, oh, we're doing something new and fresh.
Yeah. It really is, and it's kind of funny to see, honestly, because your characters seem so much different than your quote-unquote player selves.
Yeah, I mean, possibly the only person who's very much like their alter ego is probably the Antonio Andreas character.
Right, who plays the bard.
Yeah, who essentially was asked to join to be himself.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so essentially he was typecast, like straight up.
That's awesome. That's just great. And then the real kind of, aside from the originality of switching back and forth, the kind of hook to the show is that whenever the players are required to make a roll, which is a standard way of determining an outcome in Dungeons and Dragons, you get a 1.
Yeah, so I mean, the premise. I mean, we get called up on it a lot. Like people are like, oh, why do you always roll ones? That's so unrealistic. And we're just like, and us being actual like fantasy characters is totally realistic. I mean, it's meant to be a comedy series, like where
Right.
I mean, it is a comedy series. Like the whole idea is like when you roll really poorly and it has like all the funny outcomes that come from that. I mean, like if we're just rolling kind of mediocre all the time and things just kind of keep flooding along, it's not really interesting.
Right.
I mean, the like as a player and as a DM myself, like I can really say that the fun parts is when you really fail and when you do amazingly well, and then it's kind of like that, like playing between those kind of dichotomies is just where the fun I feel really is. Because it's like when people follow your story, like even as a DM, like when people follow your story, like it's kind of fun. But when people fail so miserably that you have to create a whole like side quest, off your cuff, it's just it's so much more fun.
Exactly. I mean, the probable outcomes are just the best part of it. So
Yeah, exactly.
I totally agree with that. And so talking about Nixie a little bit more, when they came to you and said, okay, here's your character, did they tell you everything about her? Like she has to be pink, she has to have horns, she has to have a lisp, or did you come up with that?
Okay, so her being a tiefling was already decided. So actually, the cinematographer Goldie, it was based off her D&D character, who was I think they were a war mage tiefling. And yep, so basically all they gave me was that it is a fire-obsessed sorcerer who's also a tiefling. And I was like, cool, that seems like a fun character to play. I mean, not my normal characters when I play D&D myself, like they're very different to Nixie.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, but she's so much fun to play, like as an actor. It's just so much fun to be that kind of chaotic energy in the room. And so I think that's always been that's a lot of fun. But yeah, so essentially they gave me this kind of concept of character, and then we kind of just fleshed her out from there. So to be honest, we had to kind of really tread quite delicately when designing her, because we didn't want her to look too much like another tiefling that's already established in basically in what you could call like D&D canon now, that being like Critical Role or other series such like. So we had to kind of be very like careful on like how we created her, and we're like, yeah, so like what if she's got like pink skin and we've got like pink curly hair and the horns and all that sort of stuff. We're like, yeah, this is totally original. And then on the internet everyone's just like, is that Mina Rashida from My Hero Academia? And we're like, oh,
yeah. Oh no. Oh, I could totally see that now. Oh.
And it's just like one of those things where it's like, so okay, even funnier is the fact that we were just like the whole time we're like, no, there's differences. I mean, Mina has this and Nixie has that and blah blah blah. And then one time I was at a convention dressed as Nixie when I was like trying to ramp up. Like this is before the second episode had aired. This is just the first episode, so we were still pretty small at this point. And I was like trying to, get support and everything. And I started talking to a Mina Ashido cosplayer who was super sweet and was just so lovely to talk to. And this one guy walked up, was just like, are you guys cosplaying the same character? And I was just like, oh no, I can't even escape it here.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that until you said that. And now I can't unsee it.
I know, and the thing is, it's like, well, I may as well just like get everyone to see it so they can all just see it, and then we can all just collectively get over it.
Within the show itself, do you all like, is it scripted or is it improv? Some parts scripted, some parts improv?
I don't know if you've seen the bloopers, but essentially I would say it's probably 70% scripted, 30% improv.
Gotcha.
So like I would probably even say that it could be, if there are some episodes where it's even more like 60-40 even maybe. And that's because honestly like we've got our director who writes our scripts for us, then we kind of like read them in that, and then when we're kind of on set, we tend to sort of also at the same time workshop it at the same time. So if a line doesn't feel right, we'll kind of just play around with it. And sometimes, the director will just be like, okay, this is just a general gist of the information I want to get across. Like, feel free to play around with it if you like. I mean, so if you do watch the bloopers, you will see that the king of improv in our cast is Antonio, the Andreas, the bard character. He can just come up with some amazing lines, just like instantly, and it'll have us all just in stitches laughing just because of the stuff that he'll come up with. I think it was in episode 4. I basically, like, during the tabletop session, applied my makeup twice because the first time I cried it off from laughing so hard.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was so bad because we had to halt filming for like I think about half an hour just for me to just clean my entire face off and then reapply it all up. So it was just. Yeah, it's just also like sometimes it just becomes banter as well. Like one person will say something and then another person will go off that, and it just kind of accumulates until we've got like a brand new idea, and it's like, okay, cool, we're putting that in the script. But yeah, a lot of the stuff gets cut though.
Oh,
So much of it though. I don't blame them.
yeah. But being a player and a DM yourself really kind of helps with that scenario, right? Like it.
Yeah, no. 100%. I mean, you kind of have to. I mean, it's like as much as it's scripted. All of us are able to kind of have that. All of us are D&D players. We all play. Not actually. Funnily enough, we don't play together. We play with separate groups. And
Okay.
so.
Right.
I know. It's fun because like we only like all the whole cast. We only met each other first at the first time that we all like we got together for the like reading of a script. Yeah, so I basically only was able to meet like the other people like for the first time really in that first session where we just sat down and we all just kind of introduced ourselves and read the scripts through the first time. So yeah, so I mean I've been also doing like I said, like I've been doing acting since I was about 7 years old, and like a huge part of my classes like doing that was improvising. And it was something that I got really good at, especially because I would have to do a lot of improv games in order to pass my classes. And so like I think improvisation is just a lot of fun, and it's a lot better when you feel really safe with the people that you're improvising with.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot harder when you feel self-conscious or not very confident with the people that you're playing with. I think having like that sort of community at the table, or for us on the set, of people who are like super willing to hear the improvisation that you come up with, it just helps so much to make you feel like you can actually just like come up with more and more outrageous stuff, because even if it doesn't get put in, at least you have a fun time just kind of riffing off each other.
Gotcha. Okay. And we kind of talked about it before we started recording, so I want to touch on that to lead into the next part. The name Nixie is the character. Where does Nicole come into all this?
Oh, so essentially, like the character names, like the actual, like the people, they're all kind of, so for the exception of Eva, Antonio and Nixie were both made as kind of like spin-offs of our D&D character names. So we kind of wanted to touch on that sort of, like how people kind of go, oh, like the D&D character is just a better or more like fantastic version of yourself. So we kind of wanted to play into that whole of like, they basically just named their characters like a more fantasy version after themselves, which is actually funny because like when I came up with the name Nixie, it was meant to be like a shortened version of Phoenix, which kind of plays into that whole like fire side of her personality.
Yeah.
So then Nicole was basically just like a branch off that, where I'm like, okay, but what's a person sounding name that kind of starts with like that kind of kind of sound, and that's where Nicole came in. So
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, I say of Eva because that's actually her stage name. So she's actually a performer. So she's a burlesque performer, which you can see on her Instagram. And so that was already her stage name. So she's like, oh, I'll just use that one again. And then we, built Evandra off that name.
Right.
Which I think is such cool name.
Yeah, it is. So that leads me into the next part, which, has to do with names and things like that. So I would like to open the floor to you for, however long you would like to take on it, to let people know where to follow you on your social medias.
Oh, okay, well, first would be probably my Instagram. That's probably where I am most active. So that's full cosplay on Instagram. I am also on Twitter as full cosplay 1, because full cosplay was not available. Don't know who took it. And I think that's pretty much about it. I don't really use any other socials. I mean, obviously, also follow Dear Stalkers, because they constantly post updates about the series. And they also post like lots of interview tidbits and just kind of like fun factoids about the show and stuff on there as well. So that's Dear Stalker on Instagram. You can also follow the other cast as well. So you've got Forgeling, who is the bard Andreas, on Instagram, and you also got Eva_Devore. So yeah, so she's actually got some amazing stuff on her Instagram as well, because yeah, she's a performer, and so she's got all these beautiful like costumes and just stunning routines and everything. She's also a teacher, so that's pretty cool as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I definitely always recommend that that people give that a look as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it is Eva. Okay, cool. I wanted to double check that. Don't want to send people to the wrong place.
Right. I getcha.
Also, yeah, just have a look on the YouTube channel, like just the Dear Stalkers YouTube, the bloopers and the series. So yeah, just make sure you give it a watch.
Absolutely. A like, a subscribe, tap the bell, all that good stuff.
Like good stuff.
Yeah.
And also the Patreon. I mean, we've been doing really well with our Patreon. Like we've had a lot of people who are just really happy to support us. Like they don't even really we've had to reach out to people being like, okay, like what do you want your reward to be for this tier of Patreon? And they're like, oh, I don't really care. I just want you to just keep making more episodes. And we're like, aw.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to me and to the listeners and, telling us a little about yourself and what it is that you do. It's been a great time. You're so fun.
Oh, thank you. I mean, probably not as fun as Nixie. She's a bundle of something, but I
don't know. I think
thank you so much.
I think I got a little bit of Nixie in there.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for asking to have me on.
Absolutely. Really cool. Yeah. I saw Nixie and I said, I got to talk to the person who plays Nixie. I bet she's a bundle of laughs. And you know what? It has been.
Thank you so much. That's so cool.
Yeah. And thank you to all the listeners who tuned in and clicked and subscribed and did all that fun stuff so that we can keep this ball rolling. And, stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you next time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, creatures of all ages, what an amazing show. Thank you for lending an ear and joining us. I'm the host, Ray Rumsey, and if you want to hear more interviews, simply head to anywhere podcasts are heard, Facebook or Twitter, and search The Leo Effects, with an A, not an E. If you'd like to hear me doing silly voices and making a general fool of myself, head over to Shattered Dungeons on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We live stream every Tuesday night. More projects are in the works. For now, stay tuned for more interviews. To book yourself as a guest, you can head to theleoeffects.wixsite.com/podcast or send me an email at theleoeffects@gmail.com. Remember, this has been The Leo Effects, and great shows require great listeners, just like you. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.